The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has revealed one of the darkest acts in modern political history. A conspiracy, orchestrated from the highest levels of Barack Obama's government, to fabricate the false narrative that Donald Trump was a Russian agent and that Putin helped him win the 2016 election. This isn't speculation. We're talking about documented facts, real names, and betrayal of the American democratic system. In the summer of 2016, the intelligence community was investigating potential cybersecurity vulnerabilities, as well as the breach of the DNC and DCEC emails, while assessing the security of the electoral system. By September, the intelligence community assessment conclusion was clear. Neither Russia nor any foreign actor had the technical capacity to alter votes or manipulate voting systems. They could attempt to influence public opinion, yes, but a serious threat was considered highly unlikely. However, on December 8th, after the FBI expressed internal doubts about the level of confidence attributed to those findings and signaled it would issue a dissent, an internal email was sent announcing that the document would be fully removed from the presidential daily briefing scheduled for the 9th, and that new guidelines would be applied. The next day, December 9, after 5 p.m., it became clear this restructuring was under direct order from President Obama. The intelligence assessment was to be redone, the narrative refocused, and a classified version made publicly available of the report to be produced. Yet that very same December 9th, around 1 p.m., White House Deputy Press Secretary Eric Schultz had already gone before the press declaring, "The intelligence community agrees that Russia interfered in the election." A false statement, carefully scripted and delivered. From that moment on, the left-wing media flipped the script. They went from correctly reporting that no evidence supported collusion to launching a full-blown smear campaign against Trump. So declassified documents now show how senior officials rewrote conclusions, inserted new assessments, and manufactured interference that never existed. They were never looking for the truth. They created their own version of it. On December 16th, a smiling Obama gave a press conference with his usual calm tone. He said the conclusions were for others to analyze, that he couldn't attribute intent to Russia, but that it was surprising some people didn't trust the intelligence community. He posed as a neutral observer, when in fact, he was at the center of the operation. Every word measured, every silence calculated, to distance himself, without ever stepping away. Strangely, just hours before Trump was sworn in, National Security Advisor Susan Rice sent an email to herself insisting, everything was done by the book. Why leave such a forced record? If everything had been legal, say you're guilty, without saying you're guilty. Tulsi Gabbard has now referred the case to the Department of Justice for what it truly is, an institutionalized criminal conspiracy. Why risk everything on such a colossal lie? What were they afraid Trump might uncover? What dark truths are still being hidden? Barack Obama must face justice, and with him, every single accomplice in this institutional farce. This wasn't a political disagreement. It was a conspiracy and an act of sabotage against American democracy. And it demands trial and punishment.